Hello again there, friends and fans. Raptor here, and welcome to Might and Magic Era of Chaos. And you can absolutely see some chaos going on in the background. That castle is getting wrecked. Go ahead and click or tap, blow up, or wreck the like button yourself to support the channel, the growth. We're almost to 1 million, guys. This is awesome. And this game hopefully is awesome too. As you guys know, we play a lot of real-time strategy games here on the channel, but one thing I don't do is play a lot of mobile games. So when the developers asked me to check it out, they are sponsoring today's video, then I thought I'd give it a shot and see what it was all about. Now, we can raise an army in this game. We can upgrade our troops, swords, shields, armor, that type of thing, and then take over the entire world just like Raptoria. So if you'd like to download it, again, down below in the description. Thanks for the devs sponsoring today, and thanks for you guys dropping by and showing your support. Now, there's 7 different game modes in this game, too, so if just the main campaign isn't for you, there's plenty of other things to do. You can build an army, organize it, and then strategically send them into battle by basically kind of setting it up beforehand, moving your troops around, and then having them clash with the other enemies on the other side of the field. There's 20 heroes, and then 80 creatures that you can use in your armies as well, and there's also future updates coming for more stuff. You can share gifts, steal resources, and then fight with friends in versus clan leaderboard. So if you want to be #1, just like me, no, I'm lying. I'm not #1 in the world. I wish I was, but I guess not. So the storyline here is that Catherine, her father, king of this glorious empire, this glorious kingdom, was slain, and all of the rival nations around are taking advantage of that to basically bombard castles and cities along her glorious empire, and are invading and taking over, and she needs to restore order, hence the name of Era of Chaos. Makes sense, doesn't it? So we're about to see a cutscene here that should explain all of that, but one thing I do like about the game, truly, I'll be honest with you, the gameplay of setting up your army and kind of having it clash with the army on the right side is very reminiscent of other simulator games and things we played on the channel, so it's definitely relative to a few things that I like, but being skeptical about mobile games, I really don't play too many, and this one actually has a neat storyline, good voice acting, good cutscenes, and some interesting artwork, as well as a beautiful black background screen. Well, it's going to be black. The days will be black and dark as we henceforth into battle. And then eventually, we will bring the light and glory and justice and all that good stuff. So if you like Might and Magic games, then this is definitely one for you. It should include some of that previous lore, too. I played Might and Magic games before, so it's not like my first time doing that, but this is my first Might and Magic game that is on mobile. So without further ado, let's get into the cutscene, and I'll see you guys on the battlefield.
Let us follow in the footsteps of our hero and travel to the mysterious world of Enroth. War is never ending here, and the hatred between factions will soon lead to a violent eruption. The demons of Eofor, the Sylvan Elves of Avli, and the necromancers of Dea. On the Arathia plain in the center of the continent, Catherine's father, Griffinheart, led an army for many years and established a great kingdom for humankind. Combining military strength and cunning diplomacy, the country maintained peace along its border. When she grew up, Catherine left her hometown to be wedded on the continent of Enroth. Many years later, the old king was slain in an evil conspiracy, and crisis arose once more. Arathia was invaded by evil forces, and the capital Stedwick fell to their armies. After discovering the death of her father, Catherine immediately set sail to return to Arathia. By her rights as queen, she convened her warriors and began the War of Restoration to rebuild her homeland.
Alright, here we go. Catherine's lucky she had a bunch of troops with her in order to head back to her homelands and recapture everything. Alright, so there's your main screen there where everything can be displayed. And looks like we've found some things here to take over. And we're going to head over to the castle and start doing some battling then. So 1-5 disaster strikes. And there we are, taking over a castle right away. So there is castle combat. We're going to have to crash through those walls. And we have swordmen at our disposal for a full attack, hitting the walls and causing damage to break those down to get to the enemies in the rear who were defending with, it looks like, swordsmen and ranged attacks, so archers and such. Now, the cool thing, too, I had forgotten to mention is that you can actually use mana to attack the enemies with, like, spires that can come out of the ground and fire, and even blizzards later on when we unlock it. So we score a win here and move on to the next battle. So it's pretty good so far. I think the campaign, like one of my favorite things is actually the overview of it. It really reminds me of a lot of like older, if you remember, like Sega games and stuff like that, where they would have like the overworld and then you go into the battle and it would show like a large building or a castle or some sort of a maybe a town or a tavern or something like that. So as you can see, I've actually played a little bit of this game before jumping into it too. So I'm just on the initial island where Catherine was like staying and trying, enemies were trying to defeat her and stuff. So you can upgrade all of your units. There's a good tutorial too that explains how everything works. It's, as you would imagine for a tutorial, it's pretty simple to understand and pretty simple to get a hang of. So you can also upgrade, pikemen we have. So pikemen, swordmen, archers. We also have lancers that will come later, and then Catherine herself will be present on the battlefield in order to use her special mana in order to get those extra damage points in. And cool thing is, a good tip that I've learned is that if you tap on the mana and then you actually, I'll show you during a battle, but if you tap the mana and then hold it on your screen until you let go at the perfect moment, you can actually see what enemies are going to be damaged in that area of effect. So right now we're going through all sorts of different upgrades. And it looks like we can upgrade our units just a little bit with our current experience. So you'll have to worry about experience, and you'll have to worry about your gold, and then of course gems as well to get extra upgrades. So there you can see we're deploying our healers and archers and a few other things too. So we are ready to set forth and head into battle. So now our queen is giving us permission to board the ship and head out towards the mainland where our kingdom actually lies in wait. So once we hit the beach, hopefully there's not too many enemies there to face off against us. We've stayed too long on this island, so now it's time for Catherine to get back, and that's right. Our forces are ready. Awesome. All right, board the ships, set sail. Now, I don't know who this little lady is here. I always think of just Tinkerbell with this gal, but I don't know if she's like a military general. You'd assume Catherine is the queen, so she's the commander-in-chief of all the forces here. But then also, I wonder if that girl's, the little fairy's just an advisor, or if she's a military expert or just friend, or maybe she just showed up off the streets. I don't know. Oh, there we go. There's all the other kingdoms that we'll have to, I guess, go to war with when the time comes. So the first goal is to restore the kingdom, and then the second thing is to basically go to war and invade those who try to invade us and, get final vengeance upon them. So each chapter plays out in a thing that you can tap on the screen. I do like the icon designs and stuff in this game. There's no real cheesiness to that. It actually looks nice when it plays out. It looks like there's some areas that are coming soon too in the future, so that's going to be quite neat to see play out at some point. And looks like some of those areas are snow. There's the underground, the shipyard, a few other things to worry about where we can build more units perhaps in the future for naval battles. That'd be quite interesting. So we're unlocking new chapters now. Forces are ready. Let's proceed. Get to it then. Head on out to what seems to be a windmill there for one of our first battles, and we can finally see how everything plays out a little bit more. So our advisor will explain a little bit more about how to take a peek at the enemy's positions. And then obviously it's a good idea to have heavy armor up front with all of the troops to support them behind. So for example, swordsmen and pikemen are good up front, then you'll have your healers, and then behind them you should have your ranged attackers such as bowmen or archers, so that way they can continuously fire on the enemy while your main troops are defending and also attacking the enemy too. So once we're ready for battle, you just tap that and it all begins. Very nice. I love the background battles too. It really reminds me of some other like JRPGs and such that I played in the past, where it's all nicely drawn out. Then you can see the battle unfold in the top. This one's over in just a matter of seconds. Didn't even have to use any of our mana. Just kind of watching how everything played out. Look at that. It was over in 21 seconds. Not even a split second. Beautiful. So as we gain energy and as we gain points and XP and unlock levels, we'll be able to get more forces on the field too. You start with 4. I've eventually unlocked 5. So then you can choose whether you want more archers or more lancers or pikemen or bowmen or whomever in order to hold your line. Then eventually start using those heroes. So now it's time to battle that Phoenix Guardian a little bit and see what we can do against that. So all sorts of things going on the screen for sure, but it's not as complicated as it seems. If you've ever played kind of a real-time strategy game like this where you set everything up, you'll immediately understand it. But I think if you haven't played it before, it's very easy to learn in terms of there's a big bad enemy. How are you going to defeat him? Well, you need to put again, you see there the lancers up front. the swordsman behind, and a big O win right there with 500 gold that we get there as well. Gold can be found on the main world screen too, so if you're short on gold, you'll be able to kind of go to like gold mines and happen to find it. Just like with the magic shrine, for example, you can learn spells and things there, which Catherine will then be using later in the battle. I think this is where she'll be learning Frost in order to be using it later. So we'll see how that goes. Now again, more XP you get too, you can unlock boxes, which will then give you extra bonuses to use with your troops throughout battle. I think it's also level based too. So when you reach a certain level, I think you get extra bonus stuff too. So power, I haven't quite figured that out yet as well, but there's so much coming at you in the tutorial that sometimes it takes a little bit of practice. You know, you run it through a few times and you'll be able to do it. Here, Catherine's going to learn Blizzard now, or at least deploy it for the first time now that she's learned it. So now she'll be able to use Blizzard, and you can see here that if you just tap right on the screen, boom, right there, huge damage to the enemy. It doesn't seem to do any sort of friendly splash damage, so when you use it against the enemy, it's rather quick. So now we just need to pass through the garrison entrance to the snow-capped mountains. So essentially we're following this path, stopping at every mill and fortress and sanctuary on the way to ensure that we're recruiting or eliminating enemies. Very important for our troops to kind of keep gaining strength now. Alright, looks like 3 enemies plus 1 big boss. And now I'm going to actually do something a little different here. This is big brain move here. We're going to have our Lancer move to the south, the bottom, so that way he might be able to circle around and get underneath those enemies. So as you see here, the Lancers are coming in, and then, oh, boom, look at that. Cutting right through those enemies like within one shot and immediately going to the Cyclops there and doing some heavy damage, deploying flame on him, and then everybody's just basically hitting him right in the face. We did pretty good there. Not too bad in the damage. So that's not bad at all. Another 3-star. Pretty easy at the start, but then the real challenge begins around Chapter 3 when you've got to deploy a little bit more both knowledge and troops and upgrades too. One of my favorite things to do in the game, though, is honestly to upgrade troops. I'll be honest. The funnest thing to do is to go into this menu here, and then as we go into units, I'm glad it's actually popping up, is when you're upgrading, it's so satisfying to click on every little thing or tap on each thing, from the weapon, the armor, the shield, and then I don't remember what the last thing is. I can't quite remember what the last one is, but you can enhance everything on there and then upgrade the soldier altogether. So things work quite good in order to upgrade. And it's satisfying to do it for each different class. Again, you got your ranged, your melee, your mounted, your, I guess you could call them like, well, I guess, yeah, mage would be one too for the healing and such. So pretty good. Okay, so now we're going to look around here to see if there's anything else before us. I guess the next battle is the Magic Well. We have to battle for everything. Every little inch of territory must be battled for. It looks like the enemy has locked down all sorts of points of interest in the kingdom. Every bridge, every well, every any sort of mine or probably any sort of mill is locked down in order to subdue the population. Again, another beautiful flank there. I love that so much. Those Lancers are so awesome. Getting behind the enemy, hitting the weak troops first, and then immediately flanking the remaining enemies, and then just going right into battle. Look at that. And then healing right towards the end. Big healing for our troops. A cool thing is, too, is when you're finished with the battle, you do get all your troops back. Like, they're back fully healed. You don't have to slow down the action by, like, healing every individual soldier or re-recruiting. They kind of just, once you have a unit, if it gets decimated, you get the unit back at the start of the next turn. So you can see here me toying around with the strategy a little bit. It gets a little bit more interesting when you have 5 units, I'll be honest. It's nice when you can have like a main force and then you get your sneak force to kind of sneak behind them. Alright, Bone Dragon here. Let's see if we can take this castle, boys. Do it for Raptoria. Look, knock down those walls. Awesome, beautiful. And then Blizzard on the Giant Dragon. Dragon down to about 1/3, 1/8, and basically dead. And then just the small troopers there to deal with. Beautiful. Excellent. Wow, I can't believe we actually got a 3-star victory on that one. All right, VIP system will unlock soon. What level are we at? I don't know if it says unless you go back to the main menu. So let's hop back up here for the Queen's speech. Going to start toying around with doing any sort of, I guess, rearrangement of our deployment, I guess. The formation, I guess. Battle formation would be the technical term. And I do like how it gives you information on enemy troops that you might be fighting against at the time. So they have Lancers. And looks like, oh, cavalry, I guess, is the technical term. Cavaliers. But to me, they just look like Lancers. So they're very good at flanking around. But the enemy's using them on us, too. So we're just breaking through those enemy troops there. And then I'm trying to allow for these guys to go up north. There we go. And back into the middle of the formation. Perfect. And then just knock the enemy down. Beautiful. Awesome. Not too bad to break through that. All right. Well, overall, I would say this is definitely a game that I would play casually. And a game that I think I would enjoy, whether I'm sitting and waiting to get my hair cut or at the dentist or doctor's office or something like that. Or even if you're just kind of waiting for your coffee to brew in the morning. It is a good game to kind of drop into for a few minutes. I like these battles. These are really fun. The storyline is interesting, but just kind of having a combination of it's almost like a puzzle. You know, it's like, oh, the enemy has 4 ranged units and a big boss. What should I do? Well, obviously you should use the Lancers then to, close the gap very quickly and then apply as much damage with Catherine as possible by using those those special callouts. So overall, a pretty interesting mobile game. I'll be doing a few more shout-outs to the game as well. If you want to download it, just as a reminder, down below in the description to download this game yet again. And again, all the different things you can do, all the 7 different game modes, check down below in the description.